It was a typical day, or so I thought, until I found myself entangled in a web of deceit that shattered my world. At 29 years old, happily married, or so I believed, I never fathomed that I would be the protagonist of such a harrowing tale, one that would strip away my naivety and leave me raw with betrayal. My cousin, a man I'd grown up with, shared countless memories, and considered a close confidant, stood as the embodiment of everything I envied. Handsome, successful, and affluent, he seemed to effortlessly outshine me in every aspect of life. Little did I know, the envy I harbored would pale in comparison to the gut-wrenching discovery awaiting me. It began innocently enough, a mundane morning spent in the comfort of our marital bed. Jane, my wife, and I were still basking in the honeymoon phase of our marriage, a blissful bubble I believed to be impenetrable. However, as I lay there, eager for her company, she rebuffed my advances, citing a desire to linger in the warmth of the shower. Restless and bored, I succumbed to temptation, reaching for her phone with idle curiosity. Our relationship had always been built on trust, granting each other unrestricted access to our devices out of mutual respect. Little did I anticipate that this moment of boredom would unravel the very fabric of our trust. A notification, innocuous in its appearance, beckoned me to delve deeper. From someone named George, it bore a simple winky smile, a seemingly innocent gesture that ignited a foreboding intuition within me. Ignoring the warning signs would prove futile as I unearthed a clandestine affair that unfolded in the shadows of secrecy. George, my cousin, and Jane, my wife, engaged in a digital dance of betrayal, their words dripping with the intoxicating allure of forbidden passion. Sensual photographs, exchanged with reckless abandon, laid bare the depths of their deceit. Messages, laden with declarations of satisfaction and longing, painted a portrait of a relationship thriving in the shadows, away from prying eyes. As I scrolled through the damning evidence, a maelstrom of emotions engulfed me. Disbelief warred with devastation, each blow striking at the core of my being. How could those closest to me betray my trust so callously? How could they indulge in such deceit, knowing the irreparable damage it would inflict? Consumed by a tempest of anguish, I retreated to the solitude of the guest bathroom, retching with a violence that mirrored the turmoil within. Yet, amidst the chaos, a steely resolve took root within me. I seized my phone, capturing every incriminating detail, a silent witness to the betrayal that threatened to consume me whole. With trembling hands, I orchestrated a meticulous cover-up, erasing any trace of my intrusion before assuming the facade of slumber. When Jane sought solace in the warmth of our shared bed, unaware of the storm brewing within me, I feigned illness, recoiling from her touch with a newfound aversion. The following day, cloaked in the cloak of deceit, I feigned normalcy, bidding Jane farewell as she embarked on her daily routine. Alone in the confines of our home, I surrendered to the weight of my anguish, granting myself a respite from the facade I upheld. In a moment of clarity amidst the chaos, I reached out to a private investigator, a beacon of hope in the darkness that threatened to engulf me. With each passing moment, the walls of deceit crumbled around me, revealing a truth more devastating than I could have ever imagined. Betrayal, it seemed, knew no bounds, permeating even the sanctity of familial bonds. As I grappled with the shards of trust shattered at my feet, I embarked on a journey of self-discovery, navigating the treacherous terrain of heartache and deceit. In the wake of betrayal, I stood at a crossroads, poised between the shards of my shattered reality and the uncertain promise of a future untainted by deceit. Though the path ahead remained obscured by the shadows of uncertainty, I vowed to emerge from the ashes of betrayal, stronger and wiser than before. As the weight of betrayal bore down upon me like a suffocating blanket, I found solace in the shadowy embrace of anonymity, a refuge from the torment that consumed my every waking moment. Armed with the damning evidence unearthed by the private investigator, I embarked on a relentless pursuit of closure, determined to unravel the tangled web of deceit that threatened to suffocate me whole. With each passing day, I found myself ensnared in a grim routine, a haunting symphony of despair and desperation. From the sanctuary of my clandestine vigil, I monitored their interactions with the precision of a seasoned spy, bearing witness to the brazen disregard for the sanctity of our vows. The digital dance of infidelity unfolded before my eyes, a grotesque tableau of lust and betrayal that tore at the very fabric of my being. My wife, once the epitome of fidelity, now a willing participant in the charade of the toll of my relentless crusade became apparent, etched upon the weary contours of my soul. The weight of betrayal bore down upon me like a leaden shroud, suffocating me with its suffocating embrace. And yet, amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged, a fragile beacon of redemption amidst the wreckage of our shattered lives. For in my desperate quest for closure, I found solace in the knowledge that even the deepest wounds can be healed, given time and forgiveness. As the charade of deceit continued unabated, I found myself ensnared in a web of treachery that threatened to consume me whole. With each passing day, the weight of betrayal bore down upon me like a crushing burden, suffocating me with its suffocating embrace. Armed with the damning evidence of their illicit affair, I embarked on a journey of vengeance, determined to exact retribution upon those who had wronged me. My days were consumed by a relentless pursuit of justice, a quest for vengeance that consumed my every waking moment. With each new dawn, I greeted them with a venomous blend of resentment and despair, my anonymous missives serving as a grim reminder of the consequences of their indiscretions. Screenshots of their illicit trysts and intimate moments flooded their inboxes, a relentless barrage of evidence that left no room for denial. As the days turned into weeks, the toll of my relentless crusade became apparent, etched upon the weary contours of my soul. The weight of betrayal bore down upon me like a leaden shroud, suffocating me with its suffocating embrace. And yet, amidst the darkness, a glimmer of hope emerged, a fragile beacon of redemption amidst the wreckage of our shattered lives. For in my desperate quest for closure, I found solace in the knowledge that even the deepest wounds can be healed, given time and forgiveness. But alas, my hopes were dashed upon the jagged rocks of reality, as the discovery of a burner phone concealed within my wife's work bag revealed the true extent of their betrayal. The messages, a damning testament to their continued deception, spoke of their defiance in the face of adversity, their determination to flout the bonds of matrimony in pursuit of their illicit desires. With my heart shattered and my spirit broken, I found myself teetering on the brink of despair, consumed by a seething rage that threatened to consume me whole. And yet, amidst the chaos of my unraveling, a sinister plan began to take shape, a twisted vision of revenge that promised to deliver the retribution I so desperately sought. Armed with the evidence of their continued infidelity, I began to lay the groundwork for my revenge, a meticulously orchestrated scheme designed to inflict maximum pain upon those who had wronged me. From the shadows, I would strike with ruthless efficiency, exacting a toll upon their souls that would haunt them for eternity. But even as I plotted their downfall, a nagging sense of doubt gnawed at the edges of my consciousness, a whisper of humanity that urged me to seek a path of redemption. And so, as I stand upon the precipice of vengeance, torn between the darkness that consumes me and the light that beckons from afar, I must ask myself, will revenge truly bring me the closure I so desperately seek? Or will it condemn me to a life of eternal torment, trapped forever in the depths of my own despair? Update number 1. Hey everyone, just wanted to check in and give you guys a quick update. I don't really want to be the one that confronts George and Jane because I'm sure that I'll break down in the process. This whole situation has been very, very difficult for me to deal with mentally, especially since I have nobody to talk to about it. Nobody knows yet, and I'm continuing to hide the fact that I'm privy to the affair from my wife. Recently, she planned an entire weekend outing for the two of us because of how down I've just been over the last few months. She rented a cottage by the beach for us, which is something we've always loved doing together, and whisked me away on a Friday afternoon. Being stuck alone in a cottage with her continuously for over 48 hours was harder than I imagined. She made countless romantic plans and did her best to maintain physical touch with me as much as she could. The effort she put into the weekend almost had me reconsider my plans because for a moment it felt like she genuinely loved me. However, the cruel words shared between her and George about me and how I was inferior to my own cousin just rang in the back of my head the entire time. Jane planned a romantic candlelit dinner for the two of us, a moonlit walk on the beach, stargazing, and more. But I could not stop myself from being a little cold the entire time. As we ended her night, she tried to initiate intimacy, but as usual, I declined. She began to cry, asking me if she's done something wrong and if she wasn't good enough for me anymore, if she wasn't able to keep me happy. Oh, the irony of the situation almost made me laugh out loud. She pointed out how strained and dry things have been between us and how she planned this getaway just to try to reignite some sort of spark between us. But all the while, she was trying her best. I was putting in absolutely no effort. Seeing her cry made me finally relent. I gave in to her advances, but it wasn't the same as it used to be. It felt clumsy, awkward, and like being with a stranger to a certain degree. She was a stranger. I no longer recognized the woman I shared a bed with, and she was not the same person I dated for most of my adult life. She was not the same person I married and shared my ups and downs with, and she was not the same person I fell head over heels for. That was the night that I realized I no longer loved my wife. Update number 2. After I came to the realization I shared with you all last time, I realized that I was ready to move forward with my plan sooner than I anticipated. I think a part of me was trying to draw out the time I left with my wife as much as I could because I knew that once her affair with George came to light and I left her, as any self-respecting man would, I would never get the chance to come to her again at home, sleep beside her, or watch her nose crinkle as she yawned in the morning. Over the weekend, the things that I loved and cherished and wanted to remember were things that I felt numb towards. Waking up beside her did not leave me full of joy and love as it used to. Instead, I felt nothing. So, 2 weeks after the getaway, which is today, I've decided that it's time to move forward with the plan. Tomorrow, Vanessa and George are hosting a get-together for their son's 2nd birthday. I still can't wrap my head around the fact that Jane chose to home-wreck a marriage that involves such a young child. Vanessa has this huge barbecue planned, and she's invited over the entire family. Everyone connected to George and I are going to be there. While I still don't have the courage to confront George and Jane while simultaneously maintaining my composure, I know that Vanessa is a strong woman who will not hesitate. I also know that if Vanessa finds out, then I knew about the affair for months and chose to keep it a secret. She will lose her head at me, and that's something I'm not looking forward to. So, I've chosen to take the coward route, and I will admit that it is massively cowardly, but I don't see any other option at the moment. I know a lot of people will disagree with my choice and tell me to man up, but at the end of the day, this is my life, and the decision is ultimately up to me. Tonight, I've used the same burner phone I previously used to scare Jane and George to text all the evidence of the affair I had to Vanessa. She immediately bombarded me with questions, asking me who I was, where I'd found the screenshots and images. I told her that while I was not comfortable revealing my identity, I was somebody close and had discovered the affair and thought that she deserved to know. I also told her that the screenshots came from George and Jane's phones themselves and the photographs from an investigator. I wished her the best, and after backing up the proof for what I've done to take Jane to court, I turned off the burner and disposed of it. Tonight's probably the last time I share a bed with my wife, who's blissfully asleep beside me and completely unaware. I don't know what tomorrow will hold, and I don't know if I'm prepared for it. But one thing is for certain, 2 marriages will most definitely be destroyed during the barbecue, and a lot of attention will be on me. It's going to be one hell of a night, and at the very least, I hope that there's no violence after the hell that Jane and George have put me through, with my mental and physical health spiraling over the last few months. The last thing I want is to give them the satisfaction of seeing my vulnerability or showing them aggression that allows them to build a counter case against me. Update number 3. I'm sure you guys expected an update soon after the party was over, right? And I'm here to deliver. Tonight definitely did not go the way that I expected, and I'm still pumped up with adrenaline from all of it. I'm typing this from my bedroom where I'm sitting alone, that's right, after tonight's drama. Jane did not have the courage to show up to our house, and I'm happy. I don't think I'm ready to witness any begging, crying, or reasoning, not just yet. Being here alone makes me feel like I'm going to get my first good night of proper sleep that I've not had in months. The lack of Jane's presence makes the atmosphere feel light and more relaxed, and seeing the bed so empty gives me such peace of mind. I didn't realize how much even just her presence was weighing on me until now when she's gone. It's just amplifying for me how much my love for her has completely vanished, and I feel nothing for that monster of a woman and can't imagine having her in my home ever again. Anyway, on to what you guys have been waiting for. The party started out smooth enough, and Jane and I came in with a tray of baked potatoes fresh from the oven. George was manning the barbecue in the backyard, and Vanessa welcomed us with a mojito and cold beer. We placed our gift alongside the rest by the front door, but before following Vanessa into the backyard, the adults mingled around on their lawn while their pool was full of children, both family and friends. The entire time that Vanessa guided us into the house, she kept glancing at me with curious eyes, probably wondering if I sent her the messages or if I knew about the affair. I pretended not to notice and moved on to greet my relatives, some of whom I have not seen since my wedding. From the corner of my eye, I watched Jane run up to George and greet him with a big old hug and a kiss on the cheek. This never seemed abnormal to me before because the 4 of us were close, and she never really bonded with anyone else from the family the way she did with George and Vanessa. Seeing it now, I noticed the lingering touches, the intense eye contact. It was obvious, and I felt blind. I turned to glance at Vanessa and noticed her fist clenching and her eyes welling up slightly. I reminded myself that she had not as much time to process the affair as I did, and well, nor had she had the time to lose the love that I've lost. I felt guilty for blindsiding Vanessa, but the throbbing pain of betrayal in my gut after witnessing George and Jane interact in person for the first time since I found out about the affair was enough for me to know that I would not have addressed it with a calm mind. The party progressed really well, and soon the children were out at the pool and headed indoors to clean up and dry off. This was the moment Vanessa chose. The fun music blasting over the speakers stopped, and Vanessa picked up a microphone that I had not even noticed before. A projector screen rolled down the side of the house. "I have an announcement to make," she said, her eyes looking at mine, and I could tell that she immediately realized I already knew. I looked around in search of Jane and found her at the grill with George, who had his arms around her under the pretext of trying to teach her how to flip a burger on the grill. I couldn't believe that they had the audacity to do it in Vanessa's home, surrounded by friends and family and in front of all of our faces. I guess that's how overconfident and secure they've gotten in the secrecy of their affair. So, Vanessa waited till they stopped and looked at her curiously. I could just tell that George had no idea what the heck was going on. Vanessa approached them slowly as the screen behind her came to life. "As you all know, our son completed 2 years today." The crowd jumped with cheer. Their son was the first grandson of the family, and after all, it was a big occasion. "That's not all," Vanessa said, pausing dramatically. "George and I have completed 4 years of marriage." More hollering followed as Vanessa came to a stop directly before Jane and George. George and Jane tried to step aside to avoid disrupting a family moment, but Vanessa placed a firm hand on Jane's arm, forcing her to stay in place. This was when I decided to make my move and come stand behind Vanessa. She turned to look at me and raised an eyebrow as if to ask if I knew. I nodded in confirmation and she continued. Jane looked at us in confusion before she began to process what was happening. But did you also know that George has been cheating on me for almost half of our marriage, in almost our son's entire life? There was an audible gasp in the crowd as they grew more shocked. As the photographs came to life right there on the screen, images of Jane and George kissing, half naked on a motel bed, hitting third base in a car, holding hands, undressing one another, I winced. I'd seen them before, but I'd always just looked at them briefly and never in this much high-definition detail. It felt like somebody just grabbed my heart and was squeezing the blood out of it. Vanessa continued, "Do you have anything to say for yourself? How could you betray your family for a woman? We have a son together. If you wanted to leave, nobody would have stopped you. What kind of sick jerk puts a mother through something like that?" George's face remained blank as he stared at the images. "How long have you known?" he asked her. "One night, but it's been more than enough. I want a divorce, and I want you and your little girl to get out of my house now." "Oh, those were the images used to scare us," George mumbled. He turned to Jane, whose eyes had been on me the entire time, through her tears and snot, and as soon as he said that, her crying stopped. "What?" Vanessa asked. Jane repeated his words. "Those are the images that were used to scare us." Vanessa looked at them in confusion. "Is that really your biggest concern right now?" "I don't know what you're talking about. I just received them last night," Jane interjected, not letting Vanessa finish what she was saying, and launched herself at her. "You put us through hell, you witch!" Vanessa, who was clearly much stronger, pushed Jane back as hard as she could, resulting in Jane slamming against the grill, her hair simmering in the coal. You could smell it in the air. "And what do you think you and George have done to us, you home wrecker? Look at that irony. The only hell you went through was the clear fear of being caught." Chaos ensued as it became apparent that Jane's hair had caught on fire, and nobody knew how to help her. George immediately picked her up and doused her in the pool, where the flames finally went out. Once the situation calmed down, I almost erupted in laughter. Jane looked like a bald chicken with only patches of her once long, luxurious mane left. Vanessa looked at me and giggled, but we maintained our composure as George wrapped a towel around Jane. I stepped forward to them. "I think it's best if both of you leave. It's clear that you're no longer welcome here." Jane looked at me and started to plead. "Ethan, I can explain. It's not what it looks like in the photos. Get out and don't show up at my house tonight. Send one of your brothers to pick up your crap." George helped Jane stand, and together they left, exhausted and not wanting to deal with the pity in the eyes of the people that remained. I told Vanessa I'd be heading out and that we could catch up soon. She agreed and wished me well. So I came home, I showered, and now here I am, drained but happy to have gotten the affair out there in the open. Update number 4. A final wrap-up. Hey guys, it's been a few months since I last shared my story with you all. There's not much to tell, honestly. This is as happy an ending as Vanessa and I could have gotten. Both of us are divorced, and Vanessa received a hefty alimony. She also won ownership of the house in full custody of their son, while George is obligated to pay a fair chunk of his salary as child support every single month. Jane's now completely bald and has gone off the grid out of shame. Her looks were always something she prided herself on, and with her hair gone, she lost all the self-esteem and confidence that she normally paraded around with. She even resigned from her job because she could not bear stepping into the office with the way that she looked. During our divorce proceedings, she tried to milk me for as much as she could, but with the proof of infidelity and the prenup we signed, I got to keep the house, both the cars, since I originally purchased one for her anyway, and most importantly, our dog. Vanessa and I have been each other's support system through all this, and I confess that I've sent her the proof and that I'd previously tried to scare them straight with it. She was upset at first, but ultimately she understood that I may not have been able to contain my anger, and who knows how much worse the situation might have gotten if I handled it. Jane and George are no longer together, though they kept blaming one another for the divorce and eventually went their separate ways. George is now renting a small apartment somewhere in town, hoping to get visitation rights to his boy, while Jane has simply and thankfully vanished. All's well that ends well. The comment section on this story was very unique because, believe it or not, some people were actually mad at OP for stringing along his cousin's wife. And we know that he did do that, but was that such a big deal? Because he even said at the end of the story, if he would have handled it, it might not have been so successful. I just want to know from you guys, do you think by not telling Vanessa for a month, that was the worst thing he could have done? I want to know if you would have done the same or you would have done it differently. So, go ahead in the comment section, let's discuss it. Let's talk about what you would have done if you found out your wife is cheating on you with your cousin and you have all the evidence. What exactly do you do? Like this every day, so if you want to be a part of these daily readings, you know what to do. Smash that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow, and just remember, it's cool to be kind. See you.